Yeah, I go on forever. So what I want to do is I'm going to mention during the show, be concise, not stick on one topic too long, and just try to move along. If you don't want to answer some things, just just say, hey, you know what, that's something I'll just leave alone, and I'm not going to give you a hard time about it. Just whatever, just I rather not talk about that topic, or we can talk about other things, whatever, So I'm pretty easygoing. I'll just tell you this, Tom, the way I treat people, the way they treat me, that's simple. And people are cool with me, I'm cool. I don't mind if it gets a little heated, as long as it doesn't get too far or anything like that. But hey, it always works out this way. I had debates with, and by the way, I don't want to even bring this up really, but Steve McCrae, is that really your dad, or what's the deal
No,
with it? People
that's
always
the
say that.
third. No, it's
I know.
James. James is the only person who says that, and
Yeah.
people believe him. Like that's a James thing where he says debaters are related for absolutely no reason because he thinks it's
Yeah.
funny.
I'd rather go to the source and ask, because there's all this conjecture out there. I just said, I might as well just go get right to it. Because I know you and Steve don't get along. I don't get along with Steve. So that's one thing we have in common. But I've had debates with Steve. It's funny because how their platform works, non sequitur, it's hilarious, because you have Reds, you have all these, you have Fight the Flat Earth, and then you have Kyle Kurtz at the time, and Steve all buddied up, and it's like 4 against 1. It's hilarious. It's like, imagine going to a courtroom and you have a biased judge or a moderate. It's the most hilarious thing, and people just accepted it, and it was funny to me. It was hysterical. But yeah, I know the big falling out between the two, and it was just got really ugly. But yeah, that's just dealing with a lot of people. One guy I got along with good was it Team Skeptic? Was that the guy? Even though we're on the opposite end of the spectrums, like I said, he was cool with me. I'm cool with him. So
That's
like I
surprising
said,
because Team Skeptic is one of the guys who like yells at Nathan Thompson and they get into big fights.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, he went after Nathan. Nathan's a bit immature. I know Nathan. He's just, just like a Witsit. I can't stand Witsit, another immature punk. I just call him a Backstreet Boy reject. So I don't get along with a lot of these guys, because they're just like Johnny come latelys as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, just to me, it's like, I look at it this way. A lot of these guys are trying to be musicians or actors, and this is their way to break in. And people are like Alex Steiner using truth to break in to like a springboard and get them into like, he's all over the mainstream media, CNN,
Fox. He's
Sky
been on
News.
Fox.
Yeah, I buried him because he was a supposed flat earther. Then he goes on with Jesse Lee Patterson and say he's not a flat earther. So he's another fake piece of garbage. And yeah, he's same with Jaron, same with David Weiss. They're in it for the wrong reasons. But nonetheless, I just kind of speak my mind, maybe too much. I ruffle a lot of feathers, but oh well, that's just the way it goes. But nonetheless, Tom, do you rather prefer to be called go by TJump or Tom, or how would you like to be addressed?
I don't care. TJump is just what people want me to call him, but you can go with King Master of the Universe. That's fine.
Or future president of the United States.
That's right. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I know you're into games too. And I'm back in the day, I was a huge sci-fi fan, so I can match anyone when it comes to Star Wars. I had every single Star Wars collectible. Jawa, Sandcrawler, Power of the Force.
Do you still have them? Can I borrow some of the ones that are collectibles?
Well, I sold back in '93 when they really became collectible, because I was buying them up in the late '80s when they were like, Star Wars was dying down. I knew they'd be worth money, so I bought all these like Power of the Force coin figures. I don't know if you know about those, but some of those were like $5,000 a piece, $10,000 a piece. I was buying them for $1.50 at my local drugstore, KB, and I sold them stupidly in '93. I made some. I still made fantastic money. I sold them between $80 to $150 loose. But if I kept them on the card, they were so much more. But 2020's hindsight. But I knew they'd be worth something. I just didn't have an idea the magnitude of how much they'd be worth. And yeah, I'm really kicking myself. But yeah, like I said, I was big in it. We'll get into George Lucas and Star Wars a little bit. I have a lot of things to share. I'll try to be concise. There's a lot of little clips I'm going to play. I'm not going to just drag it on, because this is about us having a discussion here. So, but I will play some pertinent things to start off, and then there'll be one kind of not long clip, like a minute and a half clip to start, and then we'll get into it, and I'll show different things that I've displayed and ask you different questions, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Yeah, but first off, I'm gonna We go live. I say hi to everybody, then introduce you, and you can speak upon yourself. Then we go from there.
Cool.
All right. All right. Let's get started. I'll make sure my audio's mic. My audio's mic. My audio's off on the YouTube side. What I actually do is just turn off the YouTube side completely, because when I first start off, I get the echo. So I just close the window to YouTube completely. It just interferes every single time. Okay, what we got here? Let me go to the comments. All right. When people get nasty, that's just part of it, you know. I mean, in the chat, they're gonna, you know, on both sides of the field, it gets a little bit nasty, but oh well. We just kind of like,
doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Okay. Water for ducks back. Okay. Let's go live here, and let's see here. Let me make sure. Okay. Let me close out some windows I don't need open. Okay. We go live here. We're only 6 minutes over, so okay, good. And just tell me basically towards the end, like when you're almost ready to, like, hey, you got a ditch, you got to go. Just kind of give me a hint, like, so we can wrap it up. Not just like abruptly leave. Hopefully, just, you know, you give me a little bit of time so we can close out. All right.
Sure.
All right. Let me just see here, make sure everything's going good, and let's see here. All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining in for this live stream. This time a debate, as you can see here, with TJump, well known in the atheist community, the flat Earth, going against flat Earth, not flat Earth, but going against flat Earth and standing up for the globe. Basically, we are polar opposites, complete opposites. I'm a believer. He's an atheist. I'm a flat earther. He's a glober. It's like oil and water here, but we're going to try to do our best to have a productive conversation and let people watching it from my side and his side, and anybody that's just strolling by to come to their own conclusions. Thanks so much, TJump, for joining in. I appreciate it so very much.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Appreciate the opportunity as always.
Sure thing. No worries at all. And before we get started, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Charity A, Better Than Gold. Ramina, my main moderator here. Everybody said Charity A. Rick Perry, Michelle Frost, and everybody else. We're going to get straight to it because Tom usually, it goes about an hour or so. So we're going to get straight to it. And yeah, just introduce yourself, Tom, before we actually get into any substance here.
Sure, I'm TJump. I run a YouTube channel called TJump where I sell bathtubs. I'm a famous bathtub salesman.
Yeah, okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. And that's pretty much, that concludes your opening statement, right?
Yep. That is my. Oh, I have debated 4 flat Earth. Like, obviously, I'm not a flat earther, but I've taken some mock debates where I took the flat Earth position a couple times.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Taking the opposite side of things. I've known some fake flat earthers that jump aboard the globe side. So it's, on the opposite end of things. But I never heard that aspect as far as a glober, playing that role. So, anyways, let me just go on my side here on the on YouTube and make sure everything's going smooth and everybody can hear us fine. We'll get straight into it. Yeah, let me just mute my mic here, and we'll be not my mic, but my YouTube side of things, because it always affects the stream. All right. So what I usually do here is I do a lot of screen sharing, TJump. So we're going to get into that. Let me get this prepared, and we're going to play this quick clip, and then we'll get to the information. And let me go to the share screen, and to get started off, let me get the right window open here. All right, we're going to get straight to it right here with everybody's good friend, Felix Baumgartner and Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they can take it away here momentarily here.
Tell us what emotions you had.
Well, when I was standing outside that capsule, it was a very quiet and peaceful moment. At that moment, you look at the world, and it looks very fragile. You could see the curvature of the Earth.
You've been lied to by textbooks, and that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, I don't it's he wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that."
You could see the curvature of the Earth.
No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. You've been lied to by textbooks.
So, Tom, I want to get your thoughts on what was just presented. We know so many people, like celebrities. You had Joe Rogan claim to see the curve of the Earth from an airplane. You had that guy Steve-O from Jackass claim the same thing when he was aboard a MiG, aboard a Russian, obviously MiG. And many people have this claim of seeing the curve of the Earth from a plane. So Neil deGrasse Tyson said you can't see it from this altitude of 128,000 feet. So I want to get your perspective here. In your estimation, what height should we see this curve of the Earth?
I don't know. I mean, I know it's the case. I mean, clearly that's a fisheye lens, because if that was the actual curvature, the world would be tiny. It would be like smaller than the moon if that was the actual curvature. But I don't actually care what height you would see it at. You can actually see it at those heights. It's just it's barely noticeable. It's like so small that the human eye can barely tell, but you can kind of see it at those heights.
Yeah, because Neil deGrasse Tyson recently came out and said the same thing about Richard Branson, and what went down. He said he was asked on CNN by what's his name? Was it Sanjay Gupta? Forgot which person interviewed him. Anyways, he said from that height you would not see the curve of the Earth either. Regarding, and you see, of course, you see them all in the capsule, supposedly floating in due to zero G, and so that doesn't make sense if they're not really in space, maybe suborbit. You might say that there will be some type of zero G type of behavior happening. Want to get your thoughts on that as well.
Thoughts on what?
On the overall, Jeff Bezos, William Shatner, and all of them. Or actually, not Jeff Bezos. I'm sorry, Richard Branson and the crew, supposedly in space when Neil deGrasse Tyson said they weren't.
Well, I have no idea. I don't care about any of those people.
Okay. Just want we're gonna just run past that. There's a lot to cover here. So, a question I have here regarding the globe. We're gonna get right to it, like we're doing right now. So, with the supposed baller spinning west to east. So, if a plane, for example, is flying from say New York to Jacksonville, Florida, on a north-south runway, would the plane how would the plane compensate for that landing?
No idea. I don't care. Like, none of that has anything to do with my position. Like, these are arguments I've made.
If this is the thing is, these are concerns. If we live on a globe that's spinning, these are concerns. If you don't want to address it, that's fine.
Well, these aren't my arguments. So bringing up other
you don't have to bring they're not your arguments, but they're concerns of people that are questioning the globe. And if you don't want to,
just to clarify,
if you're not interested,
no, just to clarify.
Sure.
So I have a specific argument. Knowing the world is round is very simple. We can bounce radio waves off of the moon. Like, it takes 5 seconds for a radio wave. You can build a ham radio in your backyard. It's kind of expensive to get one powerful enough that it can read its own signal, but you can bounce a radio off of the moon, and it takes 5 seconds, no matter what time of day it is, no matter where the moon is in the sky. You bounce it off the moon, it takes 5 seconds, no matter where you are on the Earth, always 5 seconds. And that's only physically possible and if the world is round. Like, there you go, the world's round. So all of the concerns are just complicated topics you have to ask the experts in the field, but we can prove the world is round simply. You don't need to know any of those things.
Well, in my estimation there, Tom, I always look at it this way. You're measuring the speed of was a ham radio bouncing off the moon. I think we should look straight out, get right down to the surface. For example, if I'm in my kitchen and I want to see if my floor is level, I'm not going to bounce some type of radio wave. This is an example, or a light. I would get right to the ground itself. And water, for example, the best proof in my estimation. We have 71% water on this ball, and I don't see any bending water. That's static. That's my position. But I understand what you're coming at. You're basically, you want to present your case. But my position is this: I'm questioning every aspect of the globe. And again, like I said before we went live, there's things you don't want to touch upon. That's not your position. You don't want to use that as your argument. I get it. I totally get it.
Well, yeah, it's just like none of that matters. Like complicated topics are easy to misconstrue. People ask questions about complicated topics all the time, but it just complicated topics don't tell you anything. They're complicated.
Yeah, I get it. I
So-
get it. And also, yeah. Also, too, I just want to just listen for reference, and that's actually the clip I was talking about there when it comes to was it Sanjay Gupta. So this is just throwing it out there, and this is not relevant for you, Tom, because you said you really don't care, but just for reference, from this one study guide online, we're talking about the Coriolis effect, about objects moving above Earth's surface are subject to what is known as Coriolis effect, and an object moving in a great distance over Earth at a particular destination must compensate for the rotation of the Earth. So again, this is not for you. Just throwing it out there for anybody listening in. And what I want to get into, and if you don't want to talk about it, let me just set it up this way. I want you to listen to this clip and get your position on what you think about what. Let me actually make sure it's actually gonna. This is the wrong clip. Let me get it here. So here it is. I want to get your position here on if you care or not. Just want to get your position on what is stated here.
Nope, don't care. I don't care about.
Well,
what
you
he
don't.
says.
I'm going to play it anyways because I already prepared this. I didn't just put this all together for nothing. So I'll just play it for the audience and we'll just move on.
Okay.
All we can do in science is construct views. And that means, for example, that what we're ultimately doing is not about the truth. This is a confusion, I think, that exists in many people's minds. In fact, I'm not sure truth actually exists in science. And this is, in fact, a very famous statement that Einstein made. That he's not sure what truth means in the context of science. All we can do in science is...
Let me stop that. Play it again. So anyways, I can see basically topics I'm bringing up, so far it's not of your interest. That's perfectly fine. And basically you're talking about ham radios proving basically the speed of these waves bouncing back from the moon. This is predicting. So
What? The speed is proved other ways. We can prove the speed of light waves in like a million different ways. We don't prove the speed that way. We prove the distance. So
okay. So let me ask you this: these radio waves, they go up straight and they come back exactly straight. They don't come at any angles. So that tells me that there's a.
No, they do. They go in all of the directions. So it's a wave. It's like if you put drop a pebble into a lake, there's a wave. It creates a wave in all directions. So a radio wave sends waves out in a big area, and it has to hit something and come back. It's not like straight, or they're straight in every direction, I guess.
So, but what I'm getting at, it goes up straight, comes down straight. It might have an effect as far as spreading out, but it basically comes back to you. It comes back to you and it spreads out, you're saying, on the Earth's surface. So I find it kind of interesting. So you're in one spot and you're shooting up this ham radio wave is coming right back down at you. And that to me, it works on a flat and curved surface. I don't think it's going to make a difference.
I have no idea what you just said there. So a wave, like a sound wave, if you play a loud sound like an explosion on a microphone or something, and it's going to bounce off, it's going to go in every direction. It doesn't just go in one direction. It goes every direction straight, and then it hits something like a mountain or a wall, and then it's going to reverberate back, and then it's going to also come in. It's going to reverberate off of the wall in every direction. And so, I mean, wouldn't matter what direction you were standing. It goes everywhere.
Okay. Anything else you want to bring up as far as your evidence and proof? Because I'm not saying we're starting off on a rocky start, but just being blunt, when I usually speak with people regarding things, I usually have an answer. You just said you're not interested, and I don't want to keep bringing up things that don't interest you if you don't want to talk about them.
Yeah. So I don't like all of this stuff. There's experts that already address that. It's just not worth it. Like, you can easily prove the world is round. It's not possible to have an object that is that distance from everywhere on the Earth no matter where you point a ham radio on it, unless the world is round. Like, it's literally physically not possible because there's an object. It doesn't matter if it's the moon. Maybe it's like, I don't know, something else other than the moon, something invisible in front of the moon. Who cares? If there's an object that is equidistant from every point on the Earth at all times during the day, the only way that's possible is if the world is round and it's going around the Earth. Because if the world was flat, then that means it would either have to get closer or further away as you got to the sides. So the only way for it to be physically possible for it to be equidistant from pretty much everywhere on Earth is it has to be round. Like that proves it's round. There's nothing else you need.
Well, my position is this: there's so many things, physical, tangible things here in this world that we can use to quantify what we're living on, more than just these basically invisible radio waves, and that you want to use it. I think it's to my listen. I'm not trying to ruffle your feathers. Just there's so many physical things that we can use. Water, like I said, we can see too far. There's so many things. So for example, if I want to prove my case with anything, Tom, I use multiple factors. I use multiple evidence, not just one, because the more evidence obviously you have, the better conclusion, in the more obvious it will be. So besides the K-ham, what else do you have?
Well, that's all I need. So that's a proof. That proof there's no possible way the world can't be round from this data. It's like, and radio waves are a form of light. It's the light spectrum. So we're using light to prove these things.
Like photons.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Just asking. And like I said, I'm a little bit thrown off a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. Anything else you want to cover or talk about regarding your position on flat Earth versus globe? Because it doesn't seem there's much more to talk about, to be honest. Because if I'm going to show a bunch of stuff that doesn't interest you, then to be honest, I don't see the point of going any further.
Yeah, not really. Like, that's all I need. Like, I've proven the world is round. My job's done.
All right, Tom. I think we're going to conclude there. That's good enough. I'm just going to keep going with my audience here, and because anything else I show is not really going to interest you. And for example, being able to see supposedly be able to see Venus and Mercury at night, things like that. You just it's not going to interest you. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on, Tom. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, to be honest. So I appreciate that. You want to just close up with anything else you want to say before?
Well, I mean, do you have any counters for the evidence of the ham radio, other than saying because it seems like you just don't understand ham radios?
I'll just be honest with you. Here's the thing is, again, not to be repetitive, there's so many factors, so many things that we can look at. We have to look at the whole spectrum. Science is, basically the investigation of this world, and we should investigate all things and not just use one proof and then cases closed. Again, water, we can see too far based on, for example, I'm sure you could spit it out. What is the dimensions of this ball Earth? Radius, diameter, circumference?
Don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, it's under 4,000 miles for the radius, and that's ridiculously small. That's like taking a car from San Francisco to Tampa. That's ridiculously small world. It's a small world after all, I guess. So basically,
wait, I'm not. 1 second. So that's a really good point. So on a circle, the circumference is obviously going to be longer than the radius or the diameter, right? So like, clearly, driving. If we just think about that for a minute, think about driving from, what was it, Chicago to Miami? Is that what you said?
No. I'm saying I'm not flying. Driving, say for example, from San Francisco to Tampa, Florida. Right. It is basically you made the trip from the crust to the course based on what they say is the radius.
I want to use that example. So like, if you think about hypothetically, now don't just think about this as a thought experiment. If you were driving from the two cities you listed, and the distance between those two, and you plotted those out on a circle, like suppose we were on a sphere and you plotted that out as if it was a sphere, and you tried to calculate the radius off of that, what do you think the radius of that circle would be?
Well, that's the thing is, it's based off what science is telling me. That's what I.
Well, forget science. I don't care about science. So
yeah,
imagine...
I know. But what I'm saying is, I'm just. These are numbers that are given to us for mainstream science, that the radius of the ball Earth is under 4,000 miles. That's what I'm working off that. So anything. I believe
I wanted to ask about what you said specifically. So just in your mind, imagine you're driving from San Francisco to where else? To
Tampa.
San Francisco to Tampa. Now, if you're driving from San Francisco to Tampa, how many miles is that? It's 4,000 ish.
It's just under 4,000 miles, just like the supposed radius of the ball Earth.
Right. And how much of the planet does that cover? Like, what percentage of the planet do you think that covers?
There's no planet, but
No, in your world. So the world's flat. Like, what percentage from one side to the other side would that cover?
On a flat plane?
Yeah.
Okay, on a flat plane, to be honest, I'm just gonna be very blunt. Biblically, I'm a biblical guy.
Oh no, I'm just like the visible Earth, the stuff, the Earth that we know.
I know, but I'm getting to that. But the Bible says Earth is immeasurable, so that's one thing I would throw out there. So for me to give, and I can give you an estimate, it could be 1/16. It could be 1/4. But I have no idea, to be perfectly blunt with you, because to be honest, it's like people say you need a model. You need a model. Well, it's like this. If I look at an animal, and someone claims it to be an elephant, and I'm like, I know that's not an elephant, but I'm not sure what it is. Doesn't mean it's the same. It's an analogy with you're supposed to know a model, which a lot of globers say. Just because I'm not sure what that animal is, it doesn't mean it has to be an elephant. You know what I mean? What? So that's just maybe not the best analogy, but that's kind of in that spectrum of I don't know. And I'm just being honest. A lot of people say, "What's the moon?" And people in science must have an answer. I say, I don't know. It looks like a big rock in the sky, but it doesn't behave like a rock in the sky. So what do I say? I don't know. I think it's a battery. I think the sun and the moon work like a clock over the sky. We have saltwater oceans that are highly conductive.
Wait, just to clarify. So my question is like, of the known planets, so the known bodies of land, like Australia to US, or from US to Japan, or from Alaska to like the other side of Russia, like, or Alaska back to itself. Like, what is the circumference? What the globers would say is the circumference. What is the distance to go from Alaska to literally the other side of the flat Earth? What is the total, the length of the known flat Earth? Not, we can ignore all the unknown parts, just the known parts. So like from Alaska to Russia, or from Brazil to Australia, or something like the farthest away you can get that we know about.
That's something I can't answer, to be honest with you. I haven't measured it, and anything will be speculation. So I can't even answer that for you, because I don't know. I'm just being honest. Just like so many things. Myself, I've been in the U.S. and I haven't traveled to South America, all these places. So we're going up by what we're told. And to be honest, we can't verify a lot of these things. And again, getting back, I'm a biblical guy. The Bible says Earth is immeasurable. So I think Earth is not what we're told, even on the flat Earth realm. There's a lot of people pushing, these things, these lands beyond the ice wall. I can't verify that. I don't go there because I try to stick to what's basically could be proven to me. I don't go in that direction because I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know.
That's fair. So we don't need to like prove it, but we know that pretty much most roads have been driven by regular people. Like, regular people drive on the roads, and so we know there's roads all the way through from Alaska to Brazil, or from Russia to South Africa. There are roads that connect all of those things that you can literally drive, and you can count the miles, right? So we can get a pretty accurate estimate of the distance between these places. It's pretty reliable because literally regular humans have done this. They've driven cross country.
Oh, absolutely.
And all of these. So we can estimate that about, the distance from, say, Alaska to the edge of Russia is about 24,000 miles ish. That's because we can drive on the roads. We can like literally count the miles that it takes to drive from this place to this place, and then just count the miles from the ocean or whatever. Like, it's not too terribly hard.
Tom, I understand what you're saying, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but I totally get what you're saying. Here's the thing: is we know that all the maps are not accurate.
Well, I don't care about the maps. I'm caring literally just the miles on your car.
But this is what I'm getting at. And I'm getting there, Tom. You got to give me a second. So we can determine on land and at sea to a certain extent miles, but we don't know how vast these 71% of this world of the world's waters and how far they go. You have to basically.
Just clarify again. I'm only talking about the places humans have been. All the places humans haven't been, don't count them. Don't care about any of those. So only the places humans have been.
Yeah, I have no problem. Here's the thing: is I have no problem with, obviously, with the estimates of miles with the bodies of land that are known, the continents. I don't
Cool.
have an issue with that.
Perfect.
Besides Antarctica, I don't have an issue with that
Perfect.
whatsoever. But as far as how it's laid out in the maps,
Yeah, that part's
they're
irrelevant. Who
distorted.
cares?
They're distorted.
That's
Yeah,
irrelevant.
I'm
So,
just throwing it
so
out there. You know, I know
of
you
the
know.
human parts that we've been to, it's about 24,000 miles to go from one edge to the other edge of just the roads that we've driven that we can like measure. Any human could just measure this. No maps, no NASA, just human roads driving. That's it. About 24,000 miles. Now, if hypothetically this was a globe Earth, what do you think the radius of a globe that had a circumference of about 24,000 miles would be?
Well, based on that, the numbers add up based on what they're saying, but it doesn't match our reality. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm saying.
Well, the reason I brought this up is because you said in NASA they say that the radius is really, really small, like 4,000 miles or
Under
whatever. And
4,000,
you said that didn't make sense because that's the same distance between driving from what?
No. I'm just giving. Here's the thing. And I want to clarify that, and I'm glad you're actually asking again, because I'm just giving you on the surface, basically just representing how far that would be the supposed core. But more importantly, that doesn't matter to me. What matters is we can see, for example, the Greek Isles. They say that you can see, 100 miles, and based on this 8 inches per mile square approximation, that doesn't add up. What we see. And also, too, getting to the actual horizon, which is horizontal, it fluctuates. It's not the same all the time. So we don't have a physical horizon to even look at, because based on atmospheric conditions, lensing, it changes. And this is
light bends. Yes.
Well, let me say this. There's the famous guy. What's his name? Nowinski. I call him famous. I don't even know his name. Tom Nowicki. What's his name? Tom Nowicki, the one that took that footage across Lake Michigan and the whole controversy with the Chicago skyline, seeing the buildings, and supposedly it's a mirage, but they're not inverted. So there was a follow-up to that, because there's a lot of talk about that back in 2015. He was asked about that because the topic of flat Earth was brought up. He goes, "Look, all I know is this: I'm out here pretty much daily, and from my observations, based on weather conditions, they differ. So the horizon's distance differs. So we don't have an actual physical horizon based on that. So that tells you a lot of things. You can't trust what you see. You have to use physical, tangible things like water. That's more important than anything.
I agree with the first thing you said. So I agree that we can't trust what we see. So anything you see is just kind of just not evidence, just irrelevant. And so I think that the sciencey parts here is more interesting. So that's why when you brought up the distance between San Francisco and Tulsa or something, a tea place.
You keep forgetting. I told you about 3 or 4 times. It's okay. Tampa. You probably have never been there.
Yeah. So I'm because of my dyslexia and stuff, I'm bad at memorizing nouns. But so if I agree, that's about 4,000 miles. That's right. But that seems to be perfectly consistent with the radius of the Earth, because if we were on a globe, and that traveling that 4,000 miles is about 1/6 of the known road length from any corner of the planet to any other corner of the planet that we know about. It would make sense that the radius, which is like, I think the radius to circumference ratio is like 2 pi to 1 or something. So it's pretty easy. It's like 6 to 1. Then the fact that 4,000 miles radius is 1/6 of 24,000 miles makes perfect sense. Like that's literally what you would expect that the radius of a circle would be, if the circle has a circumference of about 24,000 miles. So it's that wouldn't be strange. That would make perfect sense.
Yeah, let me actually pull something up here so we can actually get a visual of that, because we're talking about. I'm always about the visuals about things. So let's try to determine it the best we can with like I said. Shouldn't you be using a map, but we're going to use a map anyway. So let me get to the screen share side of things. Where happened here? Okay, I got to get back here. Okay, I'm going to go to share, and this will be momentarily here with these. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. So I'm at this map here, and we're going to take a look at it.
Okay,
just for reference, you see that yet?
Yep.
Okay, so maybe I should get a
three
blow up.
maps.
Yeah, let me get a larger. How about this? Can you see that one?
I see 3. I see like one in the middle that's highlighted, which goes to like the
Okay.
Google thing on the far right, and then
Let me stop sharing that one. I'm going to share another one. That one, I shared the wrong one. So let me get back to share. It'll only take a second. And I'm going to go to hopefully the right one here. No, that's not it. That's not it. There we go. This one should be
can you
good.
say the cities again one more time? I'm gonna write it down so I can remember.
Yeah, no worries. No
San
worries.
Francisco to
Yeah. Tampa, Florida.
Tampa.
So, and actually, Tom, I'm going to take us out for a second so we can see it a little bit better, get a better, so we can see that. And so
That's
now
only
look at-
2,000 miles. That's not 4,000.
no, well, we'll look at that. We'll look at that later because I looked at that. It was like 3,000 some odd miles. What I got.
Well, I'm looking at like from I-40 east on the road. It's 2,800 miles, and that's not straight.
Let me see here. No one's beyond correction. So let's see here. Let me see what it says here. All right. Let me see what I get on my side of things. Let me take a second and do this here. Yeah, I get nearly 3,000 miles. Yeah, that's about 3,000 miles. So yeah, I just want to, just being honest. Yes, it's about 3,000 miles. So, but still, the reference point, and I have no problem with that at all. So still at nearly 3,000 miles, you look at San Francisco, the West Coast to Tampa in Florida. So even if you add on, an additional 1,000.
I don't see your mouse or anything. Are you like highlighting something?
No.
Okay.
So what I'm getting at, you're looking at this world here, and I still don't think that adds up. So, for example, let's go off to the Atlantic a little bit. So from San Francisco, we're going to go another 1,000 miles. So we're going to go out a little bit more. Let me see here. So
wait, why doesn't that add up?
Well, again, this is the point. The point is not San Francisco to Tampa. That's just a visual, on our surface. So what I'm getting at is it's just, to me, it's a minute amount, 3,959 miles for that to be the radius. And of course you double that, you get the diameter of the so-called ball Earth. That's how
8,000 is about the diameter.
Yeah, just under 8,000. Yeah.
But remember the calculation between a circumference to a radius is 2 pi to 1. So it's 6 to 1. So there's 6 to 1. So if you take 6 United States and you line them up, it gets about you to the edge of the map. That's pretty close, right? Can you do that? Can you just let's go to like Paint, take the picture and just copy 6 United States and see how far it gets us?
Yeah. Here's the thing is though, this is where I'm at. I'm gonna do another screen share here. I'm not gonna play the audio because it seems cumbersome and it takes a bit of time. But I just want to show this for reference. What people are basically who believe in the sphere. Okay, I'm just gonna.
Oh wait, I wanted to go back to the map because you said it didn't.
Sure.
It didn't calculate. Could you pull up the map again and then go to Paint, like just Paint and just copy United States?
Sure. Let's do that. Let's go to share, and let me go to.
So
no. I got to remove this. I got to remove the share again. Let me remove the share, and I need to go back to it again, and go back to Windows, and go back to
3,000 miles goes into 24 8 times. So 8 United States is if we were correct that the world is round, there should be 8 United States from one side of the map to the other side of the map. That's what we're looking for here.
To get to the core?
No, so remember the calculation from a circumference to a radius is 2 pi.
Okay, gotcha. The circumference. Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to clarify. I was talking about radius. Now you're jumping into circumference. Okay, no worries.
But we know circumference to radius. So the relationship mathematically of a sphere, the circumference of a sphere to the radius of a sphere is 6 to 1. So if the distance from one side of America to another is like 3,000, which is correct, then that should be, in order to get a radius of 4,000, the circumference needs to be 24,000. So that would mean, and America's 3,000 long. That would mean you need 8 of those to go from one side of the map to the other to get a circumference of 24, which would then mean the radius was 4.
Okay, you threw me off there for a second. I understand what you're saying. completely, 100%. But one thing I want to throw at you here is, in 1 second here, I just want to throw this at you. Since you clarified that, I'm going to stop this screen, and I'm just going to say, because I was going to play the audio and do a lot of screen sharing, but I don't want to get in that territory.
Well, I wanted to go through, like, can you take a picture of that map, copy it into Paint, and then just like select America and just copy 8 times and make it see if it goes 8 times across the map?
Well, all you need to do is simply you go to Google Maps and you right click and you go from one area to another, and you can get the distance. It'll pop up where you can measure from your mouse point, your pointer to one, and you can get the distance, and it'll put it out in miles for you, and you can go from there.
Right, but I wanted to use the map that you brought up because you said that.
Okay,
we
let's get back.
If we look at this map, it doesn't make sense that the radius is 4,000 because that's about the distance between these 2 points on the map. I think that was your argument, something along those lines. And
no. My point is, here, let me just clarify again. I'm sorry. What I'm getting at is this: I shouldn't even brought up Tampa to San Francisco, but the reason I just did it as a reference about the distance. And again, you mentioned it short, and it actually is shorter than I thought. I thought it would be a little bit further. And this is a while ago. I looked it up, and maybe I just misremember. But anyways, the point is that was just a reference point. But what I'm getting at more importantly is the radius of the supposed ball is under 4,000 miles. And that's ridiculously small in my estimation. That's the whole point of that.
100 is 3,000 something miles.
3,959 miles. That's what they say.
Yes.
3,000.
Why is that ridiculous? Because again, it seems like that's perfect, exactly what we would expect based on looking at the map.
No. Forget the map. The maps we know are inaccurate. That's what I'm getting at. We're getting way off here. What I'm telling you is based on our observations. That's my point. Not about. I don't care about the maps. I don't care about. Like I said, I shouldn't mention San Francisco to Tampa. The point is, we can see too far based on that dinky radius that they give us. It's a very minute, small ball Earth that we're supposedly living on. And we can see too far based on those numbers that they give us. That's my point.
No, I'm not understanding your point, because I thought your point was that if we look at a map, the 3 to 4,000 miles, which is the claimed distance of the radius, is like a distance. It's a little bit over the distance of driving from coast to coast in America. And I thought you were trying to make the point that seems like it's weird that it couldn't possibly be that small, the radius, because it's so close that we can drive it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but again, I'm being repetitive here, but the point is to show it on the surface, like, so people have an idea when you talk about miles, and 3,959 miles, like I said. So just to give a frame of reference, it wasn't to involve the map, and just, and again, I don't want to get bogged down on this because there's so much we can talk about, but that was the point. And here's the thing is, this is the problem. A lot of people look at people that are running society as, their parents, the people that the head of science. And I know you don't care about that, but this is just for reference. That I'm going to show. Wait a minute,
because I agree that yes, 4,000 miles is a little over the coast to coast of America. That's totally right. But why did you bring that up? Because I thought the reason you brought that up was to show that it's weird to think that the radius of the Earth is a little bit over the distance of America.
That's another point too. I said that seems relatively because here's the thing is the globe supporters always talk about how huge the globe is. It's gargantuan. This, and this. They always they say how large Earth is, but and when you tell them that the radius is under 4,000 miles, they don't know that, and they blow a gasket, most of them. So here's the thing, we were talking about measuring through KHAM radio waves. So you have NASA giving us a spherical Earth, supposedly. You have Neil deGrasse Tyson saying we're living on a pear. I have audio from a backstage podcast with a Google engineer saying we live on an Earth that's shaped more like a potato. So there's a lot of inconsistencies with the experts.
What did Neil deGrasse Tyson said? It was a specific kind of a shape. It's like a geodesic something, a geo something or another.
No, he said it's when Earth formed, it was like a pizza. It's as Earth spins, and as it spins, it wobbles, and it's more like a pear shaped. So
there's a technical term for it. He said it's like a geo something or another. Neil deGrasse Tyson, shape of Earth. Geodesic is like the point between two lines on the shortest
like
point
the
between a curved
geodesic
surface.
domes.
But
Just like the
there's-
geodesic domes that Elon Musk supposedly wants to build on Mars. Yeah, it's the same thing.
so that's definitely not it. There's a geo something term that tells you the description, but yes, it's like a pear. There's a slight pear shape to it.
So what about the Google engineer? Well, I have the audio if you need it, if you want to even hear it, but I don't think you're interested.
Well,
but
it is pear shaped. It is correctly
no.
pear shaped.
But what I'm saying is, here's the thing: is in 2018 there was an interview. It's with the Android. There's obviously iPhone or Android. You can use either one, and it was a backstage podcast for developers, and they interviewed a man named Robert. What was his name? Jacobson. I believe his name is Robert Jacobson. I'm sorry if I have his name wrong, but his first name is Robert. He's a Google engineer, and they're talking about GPS and satellites and all this stuff. And the topic was brought up about the shape of the Earth, and he goes, "It's not what people think. People have been misled. It's more shaped like a potato." So, just throwing it out there, where you have all these people giving us different answers, these so-called experts, and he deals.
Those
with
are all the same answer. Those are the same answer.
Well, let's look at this then. Let me just Hold on. Tom, just hold on 1 second. So this is what I'm getting at. This is really relevant. So when you look at what they give us, this is what they give us. Supposedly from Apollo 8.
I don't care. I
know you don't care, but this is evidence on my side of it.
Evidence
proving
of what?
The flat Earth. Even you don't care. People that are investigating.
Wait, what is that? What is what evidence of? There's a picture of a very, very round Earth.
Yeah.
And that's evidence of
it's nonsense. They're basically mocking
that it's not a pear. Is that what you're saying?
Not a pear, not a potato.
Okay, so when they say it's a pear and a potato, they don't mean literally the shape of a pear that we have here on Earth is the exact same shape of Earth. What they're saying is it's not a perfect circle. That's all they're saying. It's not a perfect circle.
You have to have a citation for that. If they mean that and that's what they're thinking, you have to prove that because you're speaking for them. Here's the thing: is he says
they do. They literally give you the calculations.
Okay,
of
I'll
what
just play the audio. I'll play the audio from the man himself. So there's no gray area here.
It doesn't matter. What is?
Okay, so it doesn't matter, Tom. But the thing is this: you want to speak for him, but what he says doesn't matter. I don't get that.
Well, they all agree with the science, and the science says that one part of the Earth is more compressed than another part of the Earth, so it's sort of pear shaped, but it's not it's not like literally a pear. There's just a tiny 2% dip in one side. That's, again, you wouldn't be able to see this, but it's not perfectly circled. That's all they mean. It's not perfect circle.
All right, let's just play this clip. It's only 25 seconds. I'm sure you can hold on for 25 seconds there, Tom, please. Let's just play it to be really brief, and then we'll move on to other topics here.
That's just a standard of
so
like latitude, longitude only defines the 2D information on the Earth's surface.
Yes.
Whereas this is another. What is it?
It's just your elevation above an agreed upon reference system that is known throughout the planet. We've modeled this. We know what the Earth isn't the Earth is not a sphere. It's a potato. It has deviations.
That's all I have to hear. So from that you could take and you can represent what you believe he means, but this is what he's saying. You
can call him and ask. I don't have any. It doesn't matter. I know I'm right on this, but you can call him and ask. The amount of dip in the top part of the pear, you're not going to see it with the naked eye from a picture. So it's not. He's not saying it's a huge dip. It's not literally a pear. It's uncontroversial.
So a potato and a pear, and you have all these. What I'm getting at is people that follow my channel don't know basically what it comes down to. It's mockery, because you know why? I'll tell you why. He's a Google engineer, and look what Google shows. These Google Doodles, Earth Days, flat Earth models. So they're just playing with society. That's what I'm getting
pictures. You can also
these are literal, going back to 2013, and this was the first one here, right here, and they're showing the flat Earth model. They're showing the flat Earth of the dome.
No, they're showing pictures.
These people, the same ones telling us, some say we live in a sphere, some say we live in a pear, some say we live in a potato. Then they throw this at us. Actually,
those don't mean anything. Those are pictures. Those are artworks.
But you have to understand.
I can also find artworks of unicorns. Does that mean they're saying unicorns are real?
I get it. But you have to understand the context of these same people that are what NASA's showing us spheres, perfect spheres. Hold on, Tom.
Those are different people.
Showing us spheres. They've constantly showed us.
Those are different people. Just to clarify, the people who drew those and selected those are completely different from any of the people you cited Those are completely separate groups of people who don't talk to one another. Like the people who draw the images for Google are artists, and they have nothing to do with anybody else in the company.
Got you, Tom. I got you, Tom. This is from 2015. This is supposedly the second photo of the first back in 1972. They had the first photo of the ball Earth without any type of mapping of the image or artist rendition. This is the second from 2015. Does that look like a pear or a potato to you? This is a full image from NASA.
Yes, that's the pear. So when they say pear, that's what they mean.
Well, you just do the math on this. You go from one end to the other, and you tell me how it's a pear, and I'll listen. Why don't you take this into
because
Photoshop?
There's a 20-kilometer difference between certain parts of the radius of the latitude. I think, or is it longitude? One of those two. So it's when they say pear, they don't mean like there's a massive difference between one side and the other. They mean it's just not a perfect circle. That's all they mean.
Okay. Just again, I'm just
we can place money on this if you want. We can call him and ask. We can see which one of us is right. Like it's. Would you like to make a bet?
Well, here's the thing: is of course, him being on the globe side of things, he can say whatever he wants as far as that's concerned. But if we had a two-way call, and he's not knowing we're going to call in, I can't guarantee that he won't know.
Oh, I'd probably email him because it'd be easier. I don't think we could call him. I think
whatever the case is, I'm more into what he's saying. If they're talking about science, they're talking about the shape of the Earth. There shouldn't be any games here. It should be clear. And again, what we're seeing here, this official photo from 2015, supposedly, that doesn't look like no damn pear or potato or anything else. It looks like a perfect sphere to me. And we can go back and forth about this all day. But
you were asking what he meant, right? So what he meant specifically was that there's a slight difference in the latitude or longitude of one side relative to the other side. That's all he meant.
Okay, how about this, Tom? I have an idea for you. How about this? If you could, how about you contact him and clarify? Have him show him this recording. Have him take a listen.
What's his name?
And let's hear what he has to say about this.
What's his name?
I said his name wrong first. I believe his name is Patrick Robertson. I said it wrong first.
What does he do, Robertson?
He's a Google engineer. That's
Google engineer.
And doing work with Android.
Quality engineer, SAP. Is this San Jose, California?
There's his name right there.
Do you have a picture of him?
I do not. I didn't look that far. There's a lot of Patrick Robertsons in the San Francisco area. So, and you know how they mix the names. Oh, this is him, but it's not him. That type of thing is misrepresented with photos. So I don't exactly know how he looks like, to be honest. So, but I'm sure he's a British man. He's an Englishman. So if you could look maybe on,
I can't identify his Britishness from the picture.
Hold on, Tom, because if you look at his LinkedIn. And there's a photo on LinkedIn of him, and you backtrack and you see where he's from, and he went to school in the UK. Then he came to the US. That's a possible way to track him down. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying he even has a photo, but I'm just throwing it out there.
I found a Patrick Robertson with a photo, and he went to Carnegie Mellon as a part of his education, but also to Harvard and also to MIT. And so it doesn't.
Yeah,
not
I don't think that's him.
Exclusive.
I don't think that's him. Yeah. Yeah, let me. I got some spammer here with some, the spicy type of movies. I got to get rid of. Hold on, I got to get rid of this. All right. So yeah, like I said, Tom, you kind of threw me.
You don't even need to ask him. You can just Google what do people mean by pear-shaped Earth. How much of the pear shape is there actually there, and you can just find the calculations, and you realize that it's tiny. It's not something you would literally see. Like what everyone means by that is the consensus of science.
Let me ask you this, Tom, and I like your approach. You don't want to use science; you want to use your own mind and your own type of from your own research. So and again, I apologize for this, but based on science, and again, I apologize. Based on science, how the Earth supposedly formed and all that, and I find something very interesting because it contradicts what Neil deGrasse.
Oblate spheroid. That was it. That's the word. Oblate spheroid.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that. Oh, yeah. That's the oblate spheroid. That's what he says. I had the video clip. I should have just played it, but I don't want to bog down playing too many clips. I have a lot of short clips. But anyways, what I'm getting at is interesting so-called fact is, according to science, when Earth first formed, it was a disk. It started out as a disk. but it doesn't make sense with what Neil deGrasse Tyson says, because he says when Earth formed, when it was spinning, it created this kind of like due to the wobble and all, it like a pizza. It kind of like a pizza dough spread out. So it went from a disc, according to science, it went to a ball, then went back to this spreading out again. It's kind of funny. Just want to throw that out there. You don't have to respond.
Yeah, that's technically like when you look at like Jupiter or whatever, it has rings. Those rings are the formation of planets, how they start. So like because of gravitational rotation, when you look at like every single picture of every single galaxy, you realize it's a big disk. That's because the way particles collide essentially means that they're all going to collide in such a way that's going to produce a disk shape. And as they coalesce and they form more circle, then again, because there's more particles to the sides, it's going to make a disproportionate circle. And it only starts to really like balance out when gravity has a significant enough force to be able to force it into a large ball. So obviously, I mean, that's duh.
Yeah, well, here's something I want to throw at you, and let me actually just do this here. We can see it fine now. You're talking about the formation of planets, and I find it interesting. Supposedly, the way planets, which we know it basically from the Greek term it's basically wandering star, but supposedly different so-called planets.
The Greek term doesn't really matter because they didn't know anything about stars back then.
Well, here's the thing: is just like a lot of people talk about. Let's hold off on that. But what I'm getting at is this. I don't want to deviate too far. What I'm getting at, the point I'm making is supposed planets, they spin in different directions. You know why that is, right?
Different kinds of momentum?
No, it's because the initial explosion, the way these basically how they were from the initial explosion, it's based on a science, so-called science.
Which initial explosion?
That when the initial Big Bang, when everything was pushed out, things were rotating in a certain direction. And this is from science.
No, the rotation of the planets is determined based off of how the particles formed around the solar system and how they collided. So it's not the Big Bang. I mean, I guess the Big Bang, because I'm a determinist, so obviously if you could calculate back far enough, technically you could probably figure out the rotation of planets if you could calculate every single particle at the Big Bang. But the cause of the rotation of the planets is how they formed in the solar system, not the Big Bang.
Well, that's the official explanation. Initially, when things were basically and I always say, things, you don't create things from explode. You destroy things. Explosion destroys things. They don't create things. But from the initial, for lack of a better term, ejection of these particles, for example,
Wait,
hold on. Something that goes to the right, something goes to the left. They're going to spin in different directions. So
just to clarify, the Big Bang was discovered after the rotation of planets. We discovered the rotation of planets first. So they obviously didn't try to explain the rotation of planets on the Big Bang. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, again, based on this, I don't believe any of it doesn't really matter, but I'm just saying this is what I've seen online, and whatever the case is,
should find better.
Listen, I don't want to get bogged down, Tom. I don't want to get bogged down on the topic. Here's the thing is, and I brought this up in a video presentation where we can see Mercury and Venus at night, and CBS News actually spotlighted several years ago that basically in the night sky, the darkness of night, we can see was it Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and Mercury, and yeah, they're basically where they're standing right now. It's like driving a car and seeing.
What is the point of seeing?
The point is, the heliocentric model, a lot of things are not adding up. They don't make sense.
What doesn't add up about seeing like Mercury, Venus, and Mercury or something?
Yeah, we shouldn't be able to see them on the night sky. That's the point.
Why?
We should not. Why? Because they're close. They're between Earth and Sun. That's during the day. So during the daytime,
the Sun is super, super far away, and so if they're like slightly to the left or the right of the Sun, we can technically see them.
Okay, I'm glad you brought the Sun up because I have this. Let's take a look. This is looking through a solar filter at the Sun, obviously during the day, obviously. But just take a look here.
I just Googled it, like a Cambridge. We only see them in the west after the sunset and in the east before sunrise. So yeah, as long as they're to the left or the right of the Sun, we can see them. Yes.
But here is
Venus
the Sun.
is easy to see.
But here's the Sun during the day looking through a solar filter. And suppose you can fit 1.3 million ball Earths in this. And here's the thing is too, talking about the sun.
What was the problem there?
No, not the problem. There's no problem. I'm just saying is, well, actually, there's a problem. We're being lied to in a grand scale. But what I'm getting at is, suppose you can fit 1.3 million ball Earths in this sun that we can see literally in our quote so-called atmosphere.
Wait,
this is
what?
this is not a this to me. We're basically the sun and the moon are within our enclosed system.
Wait, so I'm not following your logic here. So if there's an object in front of you, say there's like an object that's, I don't know, the size of your thumb in front of your face. That tells you nothing about the size of the object, like, because it could be, the further away it is, in order to have an object that appears the size of your thumb, if it's further away, the object's going to have to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, but it doesn't tell you how large the object is, because if it's far enough away, it could hold a billion, trillion, gazillion Earths. It just has to be far enough away. So the fact that you see it and it looks that big doesn't tell you how big it is.
Listen, this is just a topic of conversation because, like I said, I'm just being fair. Opticals, like the old saying goes, trust nothing you hear and basically nothing that you see.
Well, I'm not seeing the problem with that you were bringing up there. Yeah. So you showed a picture of the sun and you said however many millions of Earths can fit in there. And you said this is a problem because why?
Well, what I'm saying, this is what I'm getting at, getting back to the image here, actually. And I'm glad we're getting to the point here. So the point is this, and let me get back to that image that I just showed. So the reason behind that is with a sun that large.
Yeah, they're not actually that close together.
Well, what I'm getting at is this, with
not
all these
to scale. It should be like in the top
obviously,
right.
But what I'm saying is, basically the alignment is Earth. What would happen is obviously the ball Earth would have to be on the other side of the sun for that alignment to happen and see them all, obviously. But the problem is you have a huge obstructing sun that's gargantuan. That's the problem.
Google solar system to scale. Google that.
Well, yeah, it's just, we can look at that. Let me see here.
Scale model.
Yeah, and I've seen it before. I've seen these. Yeah, I've seen these for sure. The size supposedly, and yeah, I've seen these things. Yeah, there we go. Let me see. I don't know. Like I said, obviously I don't believe in. Okay, this one here. Let's do this. Let's do this here. Okay, let me get to this screen share, and we'll get back to that. Let me get back to Streamer. Okay, let me close. I got to close this, but it's a different app, so I need to close that out and start a new one.
Yeah, I found one. Because all you see is a bunch of lines and black space. It's like the sun is so small you can't even see it.
I get it, but like I said, there's no way there's no evidence.
No, that's not. That's so. I'll send you. Can I post a link in the chat? Let's see. Is there a chat?
Yeah, there should be. You just go to let me see here, Tom.
Yeah,
go to there's comments and there's private chat. Okay, yep. You should
private chat.
Let me click on that. All right, let me see here. Okay, I got you here. All right, let's do this here. Let me get back to. Let me close this out here, and stop screening. I got to start a new one for that. Okay, it's a little bit tricky with this. All right, but I got it. That's the main thing. All right, so here's your model. You want to break it down here?
Yeah, that is a actual to scale model of the sun in the middle. Then there's Mercury and Venus and Earth. And so if you see, it wouldn't actually be too hard to see Mercury and Venus from Earth, in this almost pretty much exact position. Obviously Mercury is on the opposite side, but if it was more towards the side, clearly you would be able to see both of them without much difficulty, because they're not directly in between the sun and the Earth. They're millions of miles away.
I get it.
So I totally get it. Why wouldn't you be able to see Venus? Because you can see there's Venus, there's Earth. That would be a pretty easy place to see Venus, wouldn't it? Why wouldn't you be able to see Venus?
So let me break something down here regarding planets, and I'm going to stop this screen because I need to go back to the other app here, and this will only take a second to get back to it. So this is an issue I have with what we're told officially. You're talking about planets. This is on topic with Elon Musk envisions.
Elon Musk is an idiot, so I don't know why.
Well, okay, that's fine. But here's the thing: is he's supposedly doing something monumental. You like him or not? that's that's subjective. We would put that to the side. So what I'm getting at is here. Forget about Elon Musk, but he's supposedly building these geodesic domes, or he plans to, on Mars. Let's take a look here. Does this look like something that you can build any type of domes on? This is Mars. And does that look like something you can freaking build anything on? It's more like a star. It's a wandering star.
Have you looked at like a lighthouse from like a long distance away? That looks exactly like a lighthouse.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say, because atmospheric this and atmospheric that.
Yes, but light doesn't go perfectly straight. It goes wobbles through the atmosphere. So obviously, if it looks wobbly through an atmosphere, it's gonna look wobbly. The fact that you see a lighthouse from a distance and it looks kind of like that doesn't mean that it's not, solid.
But let's break it down with Pluto and all these other so-called planets. For example, you had Jupiter, where you had 3 days apart, and we get these different images. I'm not going to call them photos, but they don't even call them photos. They call them images, and they have the same cloud formation 3 days apart. There's a lot of things that are questionable, Tom, and that's.
I have no idea what was the problem there.
The problem is what they're feeding us is a bunch of bull, and this is why we should question inconsistency.
What? I'm not following the problem.
Okay, let me start over.
You said that there's cloud formations on Jupiter, and the cloud formations are the same in 3 days, which is a problem because why?
Let me show you here.
Because that's a pretty big planet.
1,000 words. A picture says 1,000 words. Let's see here. Let me see here. Let's see if we can get the comparison. I'm doing this on the fly, so I apologize. I got to dig this out, because we're talking about things and we don't have images, and we're going in different directions here. And let's see here. I knew this would happen.
So I found one. I'll put it in the chatty thing.
Yeah,
again.
maybe you have the comparisons. Yeah, maybe you found it faster than me. Good.
Here's the cloud formations of Jupiter.
Yeah, is it one with side by? Oh, actually, I'll just look at it. Make it a lot easier. Let me take
side by side.
Peek. Yeah, there's images side by side, 3 days apart, and let me see what you first off before I go any further. Let me take a look at what you have to send me here, and let's see here. No, that's not the one. It's okay. I'm gonna find it here. Just give me a minute. Jupiter. Let me see. I should be able to find it. Oh, here we go. So this is perfect. This is what I wanted to show. Just give me a moment for the page to load up. And let me see here. So there we go. No, that's not helping either. I'm sorry. Here we go. This is better. This is much better, because someone had 2 different links. Okay. Here we go. This is perfect. All right. Let me get the back to screen share real quick, because this is a bit cumbersome to do all this stuff. Stop sharing and go back to share. And then we get back to the image. All right. Let's see here. All right. Here we go. So this is the issue here. Before I even go any further, I want to make sure everybody can see that. You see that there, Tom?
Yes, it's 2 pictures of Jupiter. I need just large screen so I can see it better. All right.
Yeah. Actually, let me do that too on my side. Hold on. Let me actually do that on my side, and let's do this here. Okay. Let me blow it up here so we can see it better, hopefully. And let's see what we got. Can you see that better there? Is that better?
Yep.
All right. Just do one more. All right. So here's the thing: this is October 2nd, 2011, and this is October 4th, 2011. And basically, you see them both in the same position. And these are supposedly satellite images. And this is official Chandra Harvard education from the NASA flagship. Anyways, the point being is you see there's no,
How big is that red dot?
Well, we're told there's no way to determine. It's like, like anything else. This is something not tangible. We're just observing it. We just talked about visibles, Tom, and we can't go in that direction when.
What does science tell us how big that red dot is?
They say it's huge. You probably could freaking fit a ball Earth, supposedly, and it'll be a speck in there, something of that magnitude.
Yeah, that's about right. So that's about the size of the 2 Earths, 2 of the entire planet Earths. So in the course of a day, if you wanted to see like 2 days. Two
Yeah.
days. 2 days. My apologies. If you expected to see a difference, how fast do you think those clouds would have to move to like actually see a difference?
Well, here's the thing: is it's not every single cloud is in the same exact position.
Well, again, so if you had to see it differently, if it moved, like how much do you think it'd have to move for you to be able to see a difference with the naked eye? Like,
well,
let's
here's
say,
the
like,
thing:
I don't know. Like,
listen, this is supposedly a tumultuous planet with storms and all this turbulence happening here, Tom. So we should see, within an hour, a lot of movement. And 2 freaking days, that's ridiculous.
Okay, so
because look at the clouds in your sky. You can see a cloud in the sky, Tom, and then it's gone relatively quickly. Within an hour, 2 hours, it could be gone. So as clouds move around, so this is a very volatile quote planet, gas planet, supposedly.
Those
we have
clouds,
no movement at all, Tom. There's zero movement, zero.
Those clouds are the size of Earth, like.
So they don't move; they're static. Even though it's
well, they do move,
violent.
But again, the rate of moving, they're very fast. Actually, they move very, very fast. But a cloud that moves, say, 900 miles an hour, will take like 24 hours to move anywhere that would be noticeable at all. So like, again, those are the sizes of the entire Earth. So the fact that nothing moved very significantly so you can see it in 2 days really isn't surprising. Because again, that's the size of Earth. That red dot is 2 Earths. Like, obviously, it's not moving at the speed of light to make it like completely change position.
Tom, they say how, again, it's a very volatile planet with these storms.
Right. Yes.
That basically uninhabitable, of course. Imagine the hurricane speeds here on so-called the ball Earth compared to what's happening there. So there should be some movement. We should get some deviation in the clouds. Literally, it's the same freaking painting, and they got it's the same model. And they got a freaking lamp, like a purple lamp, and you can see it actually on the top of it where they're shining a light literally here. Can you see that? And it's a joke. It's a complete joke. And so there's not much to say here, but you have your position, and I get it, and I'm sure you're not going to deviate from your position, no matter what evidence you claim to have that evidence. But I believe, again, not to be repetitive, with all that's happening.
Well, what is your problem? Because you didn't actually bring up any problems with my evidence. So you said
no. I do because, again, not to be repetitive, but with all the storms happening there, very violently.
I'm talking about. So again, that's not. Sure. Those are the size of the Earth. So that's not.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not going to move in 2 days. It's literally the size of the Earth. But I was talking about the radio things. So you never brought up a criticism of my radio waves bouncing off the moon. You just said you didn't understand how those
I understand it. No. I understand. What I'm telling you is this: when your radio waves bounce, it comes back to you. It comes straight back like radar. You bounce, it comes right back to you.
Yeah, it's radar. It's literally the same as radar. Yes.
So here's the thing: is to be more concise with flat Earth versus a ball Earth. There's many things we can do. For example, fly from South America, the tip of South America, fly around Antarctica, around the ball Earth, and go to Australia. We never done that. Never happened. We flew.
You're asking what is wrong with my evidence?
Your evidence is. I like here's the thing is, Tom, and I said it earlier, actually. I didn't mention it.
I know. I heard you said you like multiple lines of evidence, but I don't care about that. I'm asking, like, is there anything wrong with this evidence? Is this it seems to work very well. If it works very well, and even if you don't think it's good enough, it would still be evidence the world is round, right? This is if it works.
Not to me, because again, for example, if I'm in a huge auditorium and I want to figure out if the floor is level or curved, I wouldn't bounce something off of the ceiling to wait for it to come back to determine coming right back to me. I'd rather look at the ground itself. And it's kind of like obfuscating into something else, because we don't want to look at the real evidence of the actual Earth itself. So
so let's say we did that. Let's say we were in a room and we want to know, is the floor level, and we see something really far away in the sky and it goes around, like around us in the different sky. And so at each point on the ground, we would measure the distance to this object in the sky at each point in the sky. So if it's the exact same distance from each corner of the room, then obviously the corners would be flat. Then we could go to all the different other places and find out if all the different places are flat. And if there's one of them that's further away than the others, we'd be like, oh, there's a dip in the floor. That wouldn't work. So we could just say, if there's a ceiling, if or an object in the sky that's the same distance away, then we can measure and figure if the floor is flat pretty easily, right? And if we could say that, well, if it's closer on one corner, then that corner is going to be closer, and it's going to be a shorter distance, and all of the points in that corner are going to be closer than the one that's furthest away. And we're like, oh, it's not flat. This one corner is significantly further away than this corner, which is significantly closer. So by measuring the distance to this object in the sky or the ceiling, we can tell if the floor is sagging, which direction it's sagging, if it's curved. We can measure everything about the floor by comparing it to a distance to an object that's above us very, very well. Like, so if we had this object above us, we're bouncing light waves off of it to measure, and it showed that one corner was significantly closer to another corner, we'd be like, yes, that's evidence. It's flat, right? That would be evidence.
Well, here's the thing: is again, I have multiple. If
well, I don't care about your other things. So the question here is like, you can have lots of things that are evidence for one hypothesis, and other things which are also evidence for a different hypothesis. Like, that's evidence isn't just all for one thing. So my question is if we measured this, would that be evidence that the world is round, that the floor is not flat? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many other evidence you have. That's irrelevant. Would this be evidence the world is round?
No, because all you're doing is measuring the speed of something bouncing off one object to another. That's not evidence to me.
Does radar work?
Yeah, I just disagree. You want to use that as evidence? That's fine.
Well,
I use things like this.
Do you think radar works? Does radar work? Does
radar
it measure
works.
planes?
It needs to bounce off something and come back.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is you want to prove the globe? Put a camera on the globe. They have many.
I don't care about all of your other irrelevant things.
Hold on, Tom. I'm just saying, on my perspective, you might not care, but people listening in that are globers that are questioning maybe the globe themselves, or there are people on the fence.
You're not addressing my point. That's
I'll come back to you, Tom. I promise you, Tom. I'll come back to it. What I'm saying is, for example, there's many things you could put. With all the probes that are supposedly landing on the moon, put a camera on there. Have different angles. Have all these different things that we can see. That's why, for example, getting back to NASA, they don't want to show the stars because they know it's very hard.
This has nothing to do with anything I said.
I get it, but I'm just throwing this out there, Tom. Like I said,
you're throwing out things that I never said. So if you want to debate with NASA, go talk to NASA. I don't care about NASA. Like, you have to address what I'm saying because we're having a conversation with me. If you want to have a conversation with somebody else who made all these other claims, go talk to them.
I get it, Tom. Tom, here's the thing: is I'm throwing this in there for people that are just strolling by, that are questioning the globe or questioning flat Earth.
You can say random things that have nothing to do with me another time. Wait. You can say random things that have literally nothing to do with me another time. Focus on what I'm saying. So what I'm saying.
Got it. No worries, Tom. We'll do that. We'll do that because it seems like to me you want to stick to the
things that I say. Yes, I want to focus on the things I'm saying and not the things I'm not saying.
Tom. And I see your point. You want to stick to what you believe is your evidence. And I'm throwing stuff out there to disprove it in other ways, which takes away.
It doesn't disprove it at all.
Hold on.
You can't disprove something by saying a completely irrelevant thing.
You're not even hearing. You're not hearing everything. Just hold tight. I get what you're getting at. You want to stick to your evidence and proofs, and you don't want. I'm trying to disprove the globe in many ways, but you want to keep it to what your evidence is and stick to that. I get it.
Right.
And I understand 100%.
So you can't disprove a piece of evidence by saying, here's a different piece of evidence that's completely unrelated. That's not how it works. So you have to address the actual issue.
I'm going to answer that. If I want to disprove, and again, we're going around in circles here, but if I want to disprove the globe, I'm going to use many factors. Tom, I'll just be honest.
I don't want you to disprove the globe. I want you to disprove what I disprove my evidence. That's disprove my evidence.
Let me frame it this way for you, Tom. And we're going to get back on topic what you want to show in your evidence. And we're going to get away from that because you're not interested in that. The thing is I'm used to people talking about multiple aspects of the globe versus flat Earth. You want to stick to what your evidence is and how you frame things. And I get it. We're not going to, I was going to bring up Great Lakes. That's not your topic. That's not something you don't want to talk about water. We're not going to talk about water. We'll get back to what you want to say. And that's perfectly fine, Tom. I'm being fair. I don't think many flat earthers will be fair like this. So we're going to stick to what you want, your evidence for your globe, which I don't believe in, obviously, and many people don't hear. But again, the whole spectrum is many people I've spoken with, they're willing to tackle everything I throw at them. You just want to say, hey, that's not me. I want to stick to my evidence, and let's not go in that direction. Good enough. Any other things you want to bring up, Tom, as far as...
Well, I still want to hear you try to actually address my evidence. What is wrong with my evidence? So and you still not said that it is evidence. You keep saying it's not evidence, but that doesn't make any sense.
I look at this way. If you're throwing, for example, if you're sending out a radar signal, a K-ham radio signal, To me, that's not evidence to me
Why?
of a ball Earth or a flat Earth. You can have many different results from that based on depending. For example, how big the supposed globe is. If you're on top of a mountain, because even on the flat Earth, for example, just throwing it out there, this is maybe a stupid analogy. If you're on a unlevel plane, if you're depending what position you are on either the globe or flat Earth. So there's many you can get.
No, we get the same answer on all those. They're the same. So
because you know why? Because it's coming back at you.
Right. Well, because it's the same distance.
It's coming back at you.
Right. That's the point.
How far is the deviation? I know, but for example, so how do you determine the curvature if it's coming right back at you? I know you said it deviates a bit when it lands. How far does it deviate from?
It doesn't deviate. So it goes everywhere. It's like a wave goes in every direction equally at the same speed. It goes the same speed everywhere. Doesn't deviate. The same speed all directions. It's a wave.
Here's my thing, and we'll stick on topic here. Again, to me, this is not. If I'm going to determine if something is a ball or flat, I'm not going to shoot things up in the sky. I'm going to look right at the what's under my feet.
You already said that. We've gone over that. We can.
I know.
Never
you already said it too.
Stop. I don't care about the things you've already said. I want to move on with what I've said.
Okay,
so
go
I want
ahead.
you to address what I've said. So,
I already addressed it.
Right. Radar works, right? You can use radar to measure planes.
Radar has to bounce off something for it to come back. Yes.
And it works. So we can measure planes. We can measure buildings. We can measure cars. You can use radar in your room to measure the distance.
You're
to
measuring
corners,
the speed of a bounce of this device. You're measuring.
Light.
You're basically measuring the speed of something. And that doesn't determine what's under our feet. That's how I see it.
I have no idea what you're saying right now. So does radar measure distance?
It measures speed. It measures speed of when it's going up and it's coming back. You're only measuring speed.
Wait. So forget about the moon. Like if I bounce radar off of a plane, what is it measuring?
You're measuring. If you're trying to determine anything, you're measuring the speed, how long it takes to come back.
Right. And the speed tells me what? What does that speed tell me?
It tells you it's supposed to distance, but there's many factors.
Yes, it tells you distance because the speed is what? Why? How can I use the speed to calculate the distance of a plane? How does that work?
Well, it's because supposedly the speed of what it takes from bouncing from the plane, obviously coming back to you. But to me, that's not evidence.
But wait.
Ball or flat.
Why does that calculate distance? Why is it? How could it possibly be that measuring the speed of lights or radio waves hitting a plane and coming back, how could that possibly tell me distance? There has to be something magic about this light that makes it very reliable as a way to measure distance. What is that?
More importantly is this, and I'm sorry.
There isn't anything more important. This is my point. So you have to address my point.
I'll address your point, but what I'm telling you is we're going back and forth in this. We're spinning wheels. We're getting bogged down.
No, we're making progress. Well, this is my topic. So I'm literally, you have to address my topic. That's the kind of the point of the conversation.
I addressed it. You're basically measuring speed compared to measuring this Earth, and that's where I'm going to leave it there because
that
you want to measure speed.
Anything.
I want to measure the Earth.
Right. So does light measure the distance to a plane? Does it work? Is radar accurate?
There could be intangibles. What if there's...
If it's intangible, it can't be intangibles. So does light accurately measure the distance to a plane?
It depends. What if it's raining compared to,
radar still works in the rain. Radar works in the rain. Hold on.
If there's a lot of humidity in the air, does that, for example, you're in Arizona.
Radar still works. Radar
works. I know it still works, but is there any difference in the speed of the bounce back?
No.
That's what I'm getting at. Okay.
No.
That's what I'm asking. This is really your topic. This is your so-called expertise. I'm just asking you because this is really you believe your strong point. Here's the thing is, Tom, again, I've talked to many people on the globe, so I talk to everybody. You have a different way of handling it and totally different.
Okay.
And I'm not used to it. So
that's why I wanted to stick with this conversation so we can work on it. So the speed doesn't change. Radar works in all of those things. They don't have to change the radar system. They use the exact same radar system in all the different weathers, and they use it to measure all the different planes and can calculate how far away they are with the radars. So it's very good.
Actually, this is what I've seen myself, and I apologize to you there, Tom, because I know you want to stick to radar and all this, but there's other ways, and they use what's called and thanks to Nathan Oakley, the angle of elevation, where they work off a horizontal. You know, and I'll just
Yes,
show
they
the
do
show.
other things too. So, but that's not.
Let's just play this. It's only 9 seconds.
What?
We'll just play this. Just take a quick listen here.
What does this have to do with my point?
Well, I believe honestly your point. To be blunt, to be frank, I don't think it's solid for anything.
Well, I don't care if you think it's solid. It's my point. So in a conversation, wait, stop. The way a conversation works is you have to address what your opponent says. You don't get to
I
bring
get
up
it.
the
You're a
relevant things.
professional debater. I know you debate.
Well, that's like grade school level debate. Like if I say something, you have to address the thing
I
I'm
get
saying.
it, Tom. But you know what though? You want to. Here's the thing: is listen, Tom. Listen to me very carefully. You want to keep it bogged down to where nobody gets anywhere. We're talking about nonsense, about bouncing and measuring the speed of a radar or a K-ham radar. To me, this is where it keeps everything. You know what it does? It keeps us from not progressing.
Well, that's the whole point of this. You can't call it again. This is my topic. I get to bring up what I consider evidence.
Sure.
You don't get to say that's not progressing. That's literally what you have to address.
But don't forget, Tom. Don't forget.
If you address anything else, it's called a red herring fallacy. That means you're not addressing the topic.
Remember this, Tom. You asked you through your representative asked to speak with me.
What?
Remember that?
Yes.
So let's remember that. So you want to come in here and just like, only ask and cover what you want to, when I believe, again, this is flat Earth versus globe. So I want to bring up some subjects, but you want to talk about that. You want to keep it to a minimal topic and bog down. I believe in the, the K-ham radio, but I'll tell you what.
So you're only allowed to talk about, wait. You're only allowed to talk about topics that you are an expert in or that you focus on. So like if you ask me things about, I don't know, OBGYN, I'm going to be like, I don't know. I don't focus on that topic. So bringing up topics that aren't my field, obviously I'm going to be like, that's not my field. So what I'm interested in is my field and why it's a problem or why you don't see it as evidence, which you haven't explained. You haven't explained why you don't see it as evidence. You've just said, I like other things better.
I already told you, if you're standing and you're doing this experiment with the K-ham radio, you're standing in one spot. I know it spreads. I've heard that 100 times already, but I'm just telling you, it's coming basically directly back at you. It's not hitting different points of the globe. You're not measuring different points of the globe.
Yes, you are. So I don't understand what you're saying here. So like when radio measures, when radar measures a plane, there's different radar stations in different places, right? And they're bouncing radar off of the plane, and so they can tell the distance between each individual radar station. And so you can tell if like you have 3 radar stations, one in the middle, one on the right, one on the left, you can tell if it's closer to one radar station and further away from the other radar stations. You can calculate the curvature of the plane that you're measuring. So if there's the one in the middle is closer than the one in the far away, but slightly further away from the one that's on the right, then you can tell it's a convex circle. So you can tell that the surface is curved or which way it's curved based off of the distance between each of the 3 points. It's called triangulation. And so if we wanted to measure, for example, if a floor is flat or curved, we would put a radar thing or a light beam on each of the corners and measure to the ceiling or to one point on the ceiling. And if one of the corners is further away than the other one, we know it's not flat, right? You understand if you put a point on a ceiling and you put lasers to measure the distance of the point, you're going to know if the floor is flat.
You can look down, Tom. You know that, right?
No, again, your senses are terrible. Your senses are unreliable. You have no idea what you're doing. You aren't reliable. Lasers are extremely reliable. So if we want to know if the floor is flat, you don't look down.
You don't use a measuring tool. You don't use a measuring tool on the floor, a liquid measuring tool.
What?
You wouldn't do that.
No, that would be pointless. That would be not reliable. Wow. Lasers are reliable. So I'd use a reliable tool.
How about we listen to this? It's only 9 seconds. Let's take a listen to this.
What does that have to do with my point? Because again,
the point is this, Tom, is you want to honestly, Tom, you're bogging it down.
No, I'm not bogging it down. I'm bringing up my issue.
Tom, we're not. Listen, we're not progressing.
No,
you know what we're doing here?
You're not progressing. I'm progressing.
Listen, Tom, this is the thing: is the way your angle you take is no one's going to get anywhere and progress on anything when we just.
Well, if you answered the questions, we could progress.
I already answered them, Tom.
You didn't.
Obviously, it's not satisfactory. Let's take a listen to this professor.
No, again, you didn't answer the question. So again, my question here is, why is it not evidence? And your answer is you think some other things are evidence, but that doesn't answer the question why this isn't evidence.
I said because I already told you, Tom, and I'll say it for the 33rd time, and I'm saying that as a joke. But I'm just telling you, you're literally measuring the speed of of when you're shooting off the ham radio signal. when it
Why do
comes
you
back
think that is not evidence?
to me? Because it doesn't determine what's under your feet. Because it
What,
could
what
be,
is,
it could
that,
be
that literally doesn't mean anything. That isn't an answer. That's
Then
gibberish.
what if you're,
So-
okay,
so
Tom, let me ask you
wait,
this, Tom.
this is
What
why.
if you're-
Wait, stop.
hold on,
I'm trying to make
hold on.
progress here.
Tom,
Trying to make
listen
progress.
to me.
Trying to
Tom,
make progress.
What if you're on the
That's
side
it.
of a
Stop.
slope?
Go back. This is the question I'm trying to ask.
Tom, you're on my channel,
wait,
Tom.
wait,
Tom,
stop.
Tom,
Slow down.
No,
Slow down.
I'm going to
I want to make
Tom, 'cause
progress.
You're not listening.
I want to make
Now I'm just going to
progress.
explain to you that if you're on the side of